Hey, what's up? Andrew Kramer here for VideoCopilot.net. And today we're going to take a quick look at using Final Cut Pro with Video Copilot products. And here's what we're going to be taking a look at: Action, Movie Essentials, Designer Sound Effects, Real Clouds, and of course Riot Gear. So let's go ahead and start with Action Movie Essentials since I have that ready in the background here. And we'll go and go to the Action Movie Essentials folder. And we have all these categories. We'll choose muzzle flashes, and we'll just drag a couple of these into our project. And we can double click on them, and we can see them. A couple of different variations of a 9mm here. And we'll go ahead and take 9mm number 1 and simply drag it right onto video 2 and over top our footage. Now what we want to do is line up the current time indicator with about when it looks like he's firing, and then line up the muzzle flash. And inside of Final Cut you can set the image and wireframe for a layer, and then if you click just to the outside you can rotate muzzle flashes or any kind of element so that you can make them face the correct way. So there you go, composited. Now, to make it look like it blends with the scene a little bit more, we can also change the transfer mode. And to do that, we choose Modify, Composite Mode, and we can use Screen. And so that looks pretty good. And all the elements work that way, the blood and the explosions. So that's a real good way to use those. So let's go and delete this, and let's go check out Riot Gear. So I'll go ahead and go back, and all I've done is copied our files into a folder called Stock Items on the hard drive. Okay, I'll go ahead and open up Riot Gear, and we have our Riot Gear effects and our categories. And what we can do is just kind of pick out some of the elements. We can pick out an ink drop or some paint. Let's go ahead and start with a paint splatter and maybe a background, say one of these ink flows. And you're going to want to go ahead and play with the different elements, but this will get us started. So I'll take our ink flow and drop it onto our timeline. Now the footage is 720p, so depending on if you're working in that sequence or not, just that's Final Cut stuff. So we're going to just choose yes, and pretty cool clip. And what I want to do is maybe colorize this. So I'll choose Effects, Video Filters, Color Correction, or maybe Image Control. Here's just a simple tint effect. And in this version of Final Cut, if you double click, then the viewer comes up, and you can go to the filters to make any adjustments. So we'll tint it, I don't know, maybe some red. So that's a pretty intense effect, and maybe a little too intense. Let's try blue. Okay, so that looks really cool right there. And now I'm going to go and bring our paint splatter and drop that also on top of that piece of footage. So it's just a little paint splatter. What we need to do is change the transfer mode. So we'll choose Modify, Composite Mode, Add. And so now we have that transparency. We can also rotate it. So right now we're using the transfer mode to composite the element. But say I want to colorize my design. Well, I can't exactly do that unless I key out the black. So I'll change the transfer mode or the composite mode, change it back to normal. And instead of changing the transfer mode, I'm going to go in here to Key, Luma Key, and drag the Luma Key onto the effect. Now we double click, go to the filters, and set the key mode to key out darker. And so now we've keyed out the black. And then we can add a brightness and contrast. So we'll go to Image Control, Brightness, Contrast. And if we bring the brightness down, we can create a black splatter. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll take the gradient colorize and drag that out. Now the cool thing about the gradient colorize is if we're using one of the ink drops that actually has different shades of gray, it'll look a little bit cooler. But now we can just change the color by right-clicking and change it to, anything that we want. And now we've created this, shot where the paint kind of splatters on there. So pretty cool effect. Sometimes you can just make it all one color, and that'll kind of fix some of the matting around the edges. And, that's a real good way to work with these effects. Now, if we go back into our folder, we can go check out the designer sound effects. And these are pretty straightforward. You just simply drag them into your project and onto your audio timeline, and they'll play back just like any other audio sound effect. So designer sound effects, pretty straightforward there. And then we have our real clouds, and these are great also. Drop them in, stick them on your timeline. They're ready to go also. The thing that's great about Video Copilot products is most of them do work with other programs, so you're not limited to one application. You can use them all over wherever you are. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the demonstration, and we'll see you next time.